Good evening and welcome to Tuesday Together Talk. I'm Reverend Rebecca Burrow. I am the founder and CEO of Building Reconciliation, Inclusion, Diversity, and Gender Equity. We are here tonight to celebrate the first year of Tuesday Together Talk. This is our culminating event. So, what I need for you all to do is get ready to celebrate. I want to read your comments. I want you to be engaged in this conversation as if we were having a regular conversation. Y'all know how we do on Tuesday Together Talk, right? So I want whoever's out here watching me right now, just drop us a little comment. Let me know that you're watching. Just shout out hello. Hello. Hey, everybody. Listen, we are fortunate tonight. I told y'all we were going to have a surprise guest conversationalist, guest co host, none other than my baby brother, my blood brother. Y'all know I'm always saying somebody, my brother, my sister all here. Well, this is we got the same mama, same daddy type of brother. Okay. So I got my baby brother, my youngest brother, George Maynard. And you all probably have heard me talk about George. Matter of fact, if you've ever heard me preach and use the sermon illustration about getting stuck in the mud, he's the one that was stuck in the mud. And so I had to go back and get my baby brother out of that mud. But anyway, that's George, y'all. So hey, Carrie, I am I'm just excited for tonight because this is George's first time hanging out with us on Tuesday Together Talk. And we have just a fun evening planned. We're just going to do what we do and just chill out and have fun. So, George, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the people. Tell them a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'm happy to be here at Tuesday Together Talk, especially on the first anniversary. That's awesome within itself. So let me just say that I am George Maynard. I am the baby brother of the family, most definitely. I am the chairman of Saggio Music Group, which is basically it's kind of like the Lions on Empire in real life type of thing. We live a life like that. It's a family oriented and family grown music company, and we're not just making music and doing records. We are about publishing and also educating those who end up jumping into this industry that I've been walking in for quite some time. And we school them, give them a lot of information and understanding on the contractual aspects of the things that they're going to sign. So we do a lot of different things at Saggio Music Group.
Well, I know because I remember when you were much younger, getting your feet wet in the music arena, that you've been at it for a long time and you are very good at what you do, along with
Appreciate it.
now, of course, your wife, Samantha, who is indeed a gifted singer. And then we had Jador on Tuesday Together Talk
Yeah.
before. And then no other than Prince George and Eli, who
Definitely.
are the children that have been brought up in the music
Right.
industry because of your teaching and what you have have really just embedded in them as concerning music, but not only music but the business aspect
Yeah.
of it. And so we're always proud of you all, and I'm just glad that you're here to hang
Glad to
out
be
with
here.
me. One of the things I said I was going to make sure people know you are the reason I was no longer the baby. I was the baby for 6 years, and then you came along. So, but the funny thing about it is that we have lots of laughs and
Oh
things.
man.
Uh,
If only they knew.
and, being the last two at home, we have lots of laughs and stuff, whether it was in church or out of church.
Man.
We got lots of stuff that we laugh about and we share. So Karen says, hello, I can't see you. Karen, turn I'm not sure why you can't see us. If there's anybody else having a issue seeing us, please let me know. But Karen, if you can't see us, why don't you go on over to YouTube and at Reconciliation and Equity, and you will be able to find this video live on YouTube. Okay. All right. Rachel, Carrie, Lori, hello. Anybody else out there want to give us a shout out? Say hi to my youngest brother. I'm going to quit calling him my baby brother. He's a grown man.
I mean, I'm still the baby brother, though.
Right,
It
right,
is what it
right.
is.
So I'm gonna just kind of be quiet for a few minutes, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and get this conversation started for
Okay, cool.
this celebration.
Yeah, no, listen, I was thinking about it, the truth in uh the aspect of me coming and taking that baton from you and running my leg of this race we've been running. And Lord knows we read it together and you read it sometimes. It's $4 tennis shoes. But we've been talking together on thankfully Tuesdays and a whole lot of other days, and we learn how to have a great and strong relationship
Yeah,
amidst those muddy and rocky and rough waters and all the other stuff that comes with it. But I definitely am proud of you. In turn, I'm the reclusive one. I people see me, I guess, when they need to, but I'm always in all the circles that I ever go into. I'm I marvel and I definitely give all of my siblings, mad kudos and credit for every single thing that each one of you have done and
yeah.
accomplished thus far. And so for me to be sitting here Tuesday together talk, I can remember talking on a lot of Tuesdays when you we're like, yeah, I don't know this and that, and we it's just flipping and encouraging each other,
Yep.
and you got me on embarking on something that we gonna talk about after Tuesday together talk, but it's gonna give all of the listeners something even to come and see and enjoy because yes, she's right. My wife is accomplished in this music. She's got a lot of credentials. I usually don't do all that stuff, but she sang with and written with everybody from Robin Thicke to Pink to, a lot of people. And I, being an Indianapolis boy, of course, shout out Indianapolis. I go back to the Kenneth Edmonds days before he was Babyface.
Yeah.
Before he was whip appealing and dealing, he was. I was a little tight, but coming up with all that, and then the church, music and expertise that I gained from that, and even seeing my siblings sit at instruments and grab instruments and do stuff, it was all inspirational to me. So I'm saying that to say, hopefully, throughout all of our talks that we've had through the years before last year, a lot of our conversation encouraged you to share this gift that you have
Yeah.
to the world. And this one year, you've done an immense amount of stuff for sometimes people you'll never, ever know that you've done it for. You know what I mean? It's always a tributary of things that operate. It operates that way when people have a certain amount of something to give. You can't expect to always know, but just know. In this one year, the numbers that you've seen don't touch the numbers that you touched and the numbers that you will touch. So first and foremost, I'm encouraging 1 year, 10 years, can't
Yeah.
wait to come back for the silver anniversary, the whole nine.
Yeah.
So how but in that, what was the inspiration? My question to you for your audience, what was the inspiration for Tuesday Together Talk?
Well, the funny thing is that you and I had lots of conversations over the years about me and the whole social media thing, right?
Yeah.
And you could not convince me to get on social media, and you kept telling me, um, you know, go ahead and you got to broaden your platform for, if you're going to start a business, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to broaden your audience and your reach. And I was still just resistant, and I know you and I had some intense
Yeah,
conversations
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
'Cause you would try to push me, and I'm like, no. And Brady said, "Nor could our children," right? Um, No, I'm not getting on social media. I mean, I just refuse to, because one, I did not want to deal with all of the other side of social media, which is the foolishness and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think part of being a preacher for me also made me want to hold my sense of privacy just a little bit closer to myself. And of course, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So when COVID happened, it's like, okay, how am I going to reach the people? How am I going to stay in touch with the people? And I mean, early on, in COVID is when I started thinking I got to do something about my reach and my outreach for people. But not only that, one day I decided I was just going to make a video, and I was going to, you know, upload it to Facebook, and I was going to be done with it. That
Hmm.
way I can put it out there, and nobody would talk to me, and I just say what
Hmm.
I had to say. They can leave whatever they have to say in the comments.
Hmm.
Um, but lo and behold, as I was in the process of making that video, shoot after shoot after shoot, I was trying to make the video. Nothing seemed to happen. And God kept impressing upon me, you know, I need for you to step out of your comfort zone. I want you to start something weekly that you can
Hmm.
bring to the people, a weekly conversation. And I kid you not, in that moment, it was the same day I was making the video. I put out the little post that says, "Hey, something new is coming
Hmm.
for Bridge Tuesday Together Talk," um, and that's what it was. But the inspiration really come from the encouragement of people like yourself, that was constantly in my ear telling me to do more, and my friends, and, just, hey, go ahead, put yourself out there, push through it. You have to push through it. You have something to be that the people need to hear, and, allow God to use you to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so, lo and behold, here we are.
On another Tuesday.
Right, on a
52,
Tuesday,
52 Tuesdays later.
right,
Listen.
with my younger brother.
Hey, let me tell you though, the reality of us understanding the principles of your hand will be for. Listen, if you supposed to have your hand on something and be holding your hand up for something to happen,
Mhm,
that's the chore that most of us don't want to even embark on because it's
mhm,
too much and we get to complain or we got to complain because it's too hard to hold our hand, even if we do have strong people that stand
yeah,
behind. But sometimes we don't because we don't hold our hand up at first. So nobody's going to come and support
yeah,
anything if you're not putting your hand up. And if
right,
you don't believe what's in your hand is a difference maker, then I can understand it. But I've always known you hold a staff in your hand that's a difference maker. It's a game changer, and so God will force your hand. Period. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
And COVID was most definitely. I put it like this, I take it all the way because we go church all the way. So
yeah,
in a mentality of a hustler, nobody when COVID hit that has a hustler's mindset, and I'm not just talking about a street hustler. I'm just saying a person who you can't be stagnant. You got to figure out a way to move inside of the situation.
yeah,
And COVID made a lot of situations better for a lot of
right,
people had they been hustler minded.
yeah,
But of course, we know a lot of people are sitting back just wanting to receive, and then squander. But ours is a special thing. The things that have been bestowed upon us, and we don't have the right to squander them, nor do we have the right to sit when it's not time to sit.
yeah,
And that's when your hand will get forced. And then you see now that there are lots of people who are gladly there to stand up under your arms and hold them up for you so you can keep that. So this is like a strong torch. Tuesday Together Talk. I mean, come
yeah.
on, like it's always gonna be a Tuesday. People always need to be together, and ain't nobody gonna stop talking.
Right. And the truth is, one of the things I appreciate so much about the Tuesday Together Talk audience, I've watched them even grow into their own. So
Hmm.
when we first started this whole idea of Tuesday Together Talk, the comments were kind of few. And over, the last few months, people have been really engaged, and they give their suggestions, they give their thoughts, they're sharing, and we're talking, and so much so that we went ahead and started the Tuesday Together Talk Take Two private group. And so people can continue the conversation after the conversation. And so throughout the week, I want to give a shout out to Rachel Christopher, who is keeping us informed as one of our group experts, and she is really she's adding content to that private group. And other folks are doing the same. So I appreciate so much the Tuesday Together Talk Take Two private group. I appreciate the audience that comes in every week and shares from whatever is going on in their life. Some of the guest conversationalists have come from the audience, and people are just willing to share from their area of expertise. And sometimes we're not even experts in some of these areas. We just need a safe space to be able to share what's going on in our world, in our culture, in our societies, in our communities, our churches, wherever. We just need that place to be able to share, and in hope of sharing on the issues, we're also sharing in solution building. Yeah. We're creating an opportunity for people to come up with solutions, because as the creator and host of Tuesday Together Talk, I don't have all the solutions. The audience helps us get to solutions. I can't identify all the issues because that's overwhelming. The audience helps us identify some of the issues. And so for that, I'm really grateful for the audience.
And those support, I'm telling you that the audience is a great support, and those other people, those that will come up and step up and show exactly, where they need to be positioned, what I mean? And I'm a big encourager of, me. Before we had the Simon Cowells in our every week, and even seeing Puffy and all those different guys, I was basically that individual with sometimes to the wrong degree, at being supportive of those things that are definitely, you could just know that it's in the flow of a person, that they're operating in their place. And then you see people, like I always used to tell people, hey, if you have an edifice, you have a church, just because your cousin's your cousin, if she got a permanent frown on her face, she doesn't need to be a greeter. Maybe she needs to operate somewhere different. So I've been a straight shooter with that, and I don't like to encourage wrong. I mean, not per my judgment. I just, you come on. But so when you see something, I'll never. I just won't back off. I'm relentless at that. At the same token, just like you told me about a month and a half ago. Hey, listen, it's too much out here. You can either complain about, or you can go claim your ground, claim your land, because it's a lot of people out here misrepresenting what you look like, what I literally did. So I mean, we gonna encourage each other, and we gonna push each other. And sometimes, as siblings, the push is a pull and the pull is a push,
Right.
And sometimes it's a pinch and a tug, but it's all out of love, that. And but no, I'll never say enough how excited and proud I am, and to just and to see the next phase of stuff. I'm so interested because I move around a lot, and I'm doing a lot of stuff. And so to the audience, my sister is not obligated to sit in every audience, every time we do a performance or this or that. I don't expect my siblings, because their lives are extensive as well, to be, Johnny on the spot for everything. So I catch some of your shows after the fact, some I catch pieces of during time, just like with our brother who's preaching on, and I don't see him every Sunday, but I do catch him live. I like to catch him live, and I like to catch you in the heart of what you're doing. And then I like to go back and peep how you moved around in the situation in the videos. But I've seen some wild, interesting things, and I've heard some extremely diverse points
Yes,
of view. We'll put
yes,
it that way.
yes.
So what would you say in these 52 weeks has been one of the most, let's see, for lack of terms, I'm gonna protect you so you don't throw nobody in the bushes. Um, one of the most interesting, uh, but maybe off left, right, left, back, right, type of situations that you ran into on Tuesday Together Talk.
So, okay, so this didn't happen actually in a Tuesday Together talk, but it happened on our platform. I had a different show that I wanted to do, and it involved my husband and Elder Marcus White, and so the conversation was professor between the professor and preacher.
Mm,
Conversation between the professor and preacher, and it was amazing, amazing um conversation. But if anybody your brother-in-law,
yeah,
if you talk, he's gonna talk. If you ask
yeah.
him about his craft or whatever. And he was explaining about the Freedom Riders movement. And um, lo and behold, there was such an interesting moment. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm just going to cut away to it.
Okay,
So,
let's check
so
it
y'all,
out.
so y'all can check it out. Okay.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Some funny things happen down in Mississippi as well, and it causes me to chuckle every time I think about it. Because there are always those clowns or those people who do things to make you laugh, no matter how difficult, how tough things are going. They run into some trouble, and Chris, of course, got a little bit unruly, and the sheriff made him leave. And of course, he didn't want to, but he left, and probably, I picture him in my mind's eye, and I can see him turning red as a tomato. Because what happens is, he's walking towards the door, and there's a long line of people, black people. And so it was later reported that as Chris walked by, headed to the door to leave the courthouse, that different people could hear him saying, talking about the sheriff, "Goddamn motherfucker pissed me right off." And
And so,
And shout out to Dr. Rufus for real.
and so, you can see by Marcus' face, he was caught off guard. But here I was in the background because I was controlling the camera and the technology that night, and I was sitting there like, you know, now, I mean, he was telling the story.
Hey, that's the story.
And it's important. The thing about Tuesday Together Talk, sometimes when when people are being raw and real with us, it may not come out the way we expect to hear it, especially
Exactly.
some of us that are so Christian that we are just shocked by
Right.
by anything. But when you are telling the story, when you are repeating history so that it can be shared from generations to generation through generations, they need to hear what was actually said.
Hey,
And on that evening,
he said
Dr. Rufus Earl
it.
Jr. said exactly what was said. And so I know it was a shock because I got some of the comments about it.
Mm.
But when not too long ago, I did a segment on reclaiming your narrative. We can't reclaim our narrative. We can't reclaim our history. Can't if we are afraid to be honest about some of those things that, as church folks, might make us uncomfortable sometimes.
Oh
So,
Lord.
shout out to Dr. Rufus Burrow Jr., the man that I've been married to now for 7 years,
Straight up.
for just keeping it real.
Keeping it real. One thing about it, and what I do, it gotta be some. I'm a student of Bootsy, and and he was a student of James, and you gotta be some funk in everything you do. So you gotta keep always. I'm like, you gotta keep it funky. When we doing anything, we
Yeah.
gotta keep it funky. And so if you can't be real, regardless of what your this or that is supposed to be, like we. You
Yeah.
know, I know when I leave here, I ain't taking none of that. I don't care if I win 39 Grammys or whatever the case may be. Eh, None of that goes with me. Was I authentic? Was I an authentic individual? And you know, I mean, Rufus is astute. He knows is he understands, and that was the time and the place, because at times you gotta give the people what they need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta give them what they want, but you gotta give them what they need.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And
Well,
they need reality.
and the funny thing is, George, that he didn't just say it once. He said
Well,
it a second time. And then he
yeah,
said it a third time to
yeah,
bring it on home. So his
yeah.
3 points. That was his
3
3
points. 3 points.
And so anyway, your sister Joelle says, "Is this a family show?"
Mhm.
Yes, it is. And and so you can decide to keep out, you know, what you need to mute for your kids sitting next to you. Rochelle says Dr. Roof is keeping it real. He has to tell it like it is.
That's
Absolutely,
right. He
absolutely.
does.
Mom said, "Thank God for Rufus."
That's right.
I remember Lori Clark. I remember she was listening in that night too, and she was like, "Yeah."
Hmm.
I remember we had a conversation about it afterwards, and she said, "Oh yeah, that's he was supposed to say it."
Hey,
um,
listen.
so I'm thankful, you know, my husband, of course, has been one of the guest conversationalists, but I've had some of my other professors that came along and were guest conversationalists, Dr. Raymond Ron Somerville, who is a great historian, Dr. Deborah Juncker, who is a seminary professor in Chicago now, but she is an amazing woman, and we had a great conversation about Frey. If you need to go back and check out that video with Dr. Juncker and myself, or Dr. Somerville, who talked about the CME Church, how it went from being the colored people's church to the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. Um, so we've just had some great conversations, and I've had people that have just came on here. um, they don't hold back, and that's what I appreciate about it. People aren't afraid to speak their truth, to speak truth to power, especially when we're having those conversations, those political conversations that
Mhm.
we started Tuesday Together Talk under 45. He was the president at that point, and I'm gonna tell you, my friend Niall here, he always had some interesting thing to say about 45. But we've carried people through an election. we
Yeah.
we we were on the night that the verdict came back for the Derek Chauvin trial. um we have had special conversations. We've had conversations about the census, why it's important, and even did results related to the census. And just not too long ago, we read What to the Negro is July 4th. And we had myself, Dorothea Manley Davis, Elder Marcus White, and Elder Isaac Lang, who read that speech. And that's all we did that night. We read the speech, and then we had a very brief conversation. But for a lot of people, they had not heard that particular speech by Frederick Douglass. And so it's important that we're bringing content to people that will, pique their curiosity, and also help them walk into a place of awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And you know, our people suffer for the lack of it,
Yes.
and as much as unfortunate, I'm not gonna take this away from a anniversary celebration, because I definitely, as much as I know that we push and we sing and we
Yeah.
we gonna overcome someday, you know. Yeah, lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
You got to be not. This is the same thing in. There's no industry that's different. You know, if you look at what you just said about the CME church, okay, the music and the aspect of the industry was created to for the purpose of taking away from the creators. You
Mm,
see what I'm saying?
mm,
And
mhm.
so basically everything is structured in that way in some shape or form, and you
Mhm.
don't get away from it whether you talking the
Yeah.
policy, the numbers racket, all the way to,
Yes.
because look at the lottery. The lottery did that. It took away. So
Yes.
from a lot of the things that were helping and boosting communities, from those inside those specific communities, having resources circulating and recycling through themselves. So there's it's I live, combating a lot of that in this music industry, which is why when people, always say, well, why your children don't have a deal? Because those don't exist.
Yes.
Deals don't exist in the entertainment industry. Those are contracts, and until you learn how to sign contracts that are contractually sound for every party,
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
going to sign a deal that's only favoring the stronger of the parties, and it's always the same party.
Yes.
It is what it is. So.
That's interesting, because even what you're saying about the music industry, like you said, is so applicable to our systems in life, the systems that we confront and try
Mhm.
to combat that of course, are designed to keep people down or from succeeding or from achieving.
To
And
look like success, but it's all
yeah,
for oppression. And as we can keep them, like, they keep them there for some strange
yeah.
reason.
So we keep uh talking about these things on Tuesday Together Talk, specifically as we talking about bridge, building
Hmm.
reconciliation, inclusion, diversity, and gender equity. Everything about Tuesday Together Talk. Whenever I'm designing a segment, it comes back to what can we do to build reconciliation, inclusion, diversity, and gender equity.
Hmm.
What conversations can we have to build reconciliation, inclusion, diversity, and gender equity? And inclusion is also that part of equity that we are missing in our society. Inclusion is that piece that we're missing in our social justice systems.
Hmm.
Where they were designed, of course, to hold us in bondage, so to speak.
Trust me.
Uh,
I know
but
about that
but
subject
yeah,
too.
and so some of those hard conversations we have, gender equity. I love talking about gender equity in places of worship, in churches and spiritual places, and things where people go in to serve God, but yet there's so much oppression in
Hmm.
those places, in boardrooms, in Jador and I had this conversation about the whole music
Yeah,
industry.
definitely.
Um, how gender equity is really lacking in those places. So whenever we're thinking about a segment, what if it's voting, if it's the census, we're always keeping bridge as that driver.
Yeah, definitely. It's important. It's important. So with that being said, that that press to include and make everyone first you gotta make everyone know that they're important.
Hmm.
You know, um, go back to when we were younger, and it was, they made fun of it, but that I am somebody that I
Yeah,
rode on that.
I am
I
some.
rode
I
on that.
may be black.
I rode on that. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
I don't, that you take those things. It's like what they say: study to show thyself approved, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Hmm.
Listen, when you start dividing stuff, it's not the convenient things that work for you, but you gotta divide all the things that work for you. Some is gonna be uncomfortable, and some's gonna be good,
Yeah.
easy. But you gotta rightly divide that stuff. And so I don't know everything Jesse said, but I do remember those things that it locked into my head, and other situations and individuals. And so that those things are they touch my heart, and then I teach my children based on a lot of those things. So if you of course your nephews, your niece, and they are historically built. You know what I mean? They
Mhm.
understand the thing. They get a lot put into them that builds.
I think we've lost George for a minute, and hopefully he'll come back. Um, George, whenever you can rejoin us, please feel free to do so. Uh, so, but that's technology, y'all. So anyway, while he's coming back, my hope is that as we continue in this conversation, that you can get a better understanding why Bridge is who she is, and why I feel it necessary to have this conversation. Um, so, as George is preparing to come back, I have. I have Carrie that's coming, and y'all hear my phone ringing. That's somebody that knows that, that we have a conversation going on here. So I'm getting ready to bring Carrie in as soon as that phone stops ringing. Y'all, hold on. Of all the times, now, it has never rang during a bridge segment, but because we're celebrating, there you have it. All right. So, Miss Caroline, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I
Oh,
can
look at my
hear you.
name on the screen.
Oh my goodness. So let me tell you all something. Carrie has been a part of Bridge Conversations, a number of them, and so much so, a few people have suggested that I was displaying some favoritism. Okay, maybe I am. I don't know, but I think part of it is that Carrie and I have worked together for such a long time doing this particular work, doing the equity and inclusion and health equity work, um, that we've gotten to know each other and we understand our positions on inclusion and equity work. Now, some of them, often, many of them, many of places where we think about equity inclusion, we agree. I don't think that there's any place where we don't agree. Our approach, though, may be different at
Yeah.
times on how we might get there. And some of that might have to do with my age. It may be age different, or just life experience or lived experiences that make us think about the approach of how we accomplish this work. But so Carrie, it comes on to Tuesday Together Talk, and we have lots of great conversations. And I know Now likes to call you the Energizer Bunny. But anyway, with all that being said, Carrie, I want you to tell the people who you are and what you do and why you do it. And maybe George can jump back on, y'all. I hope.
Yeah. So first of all, I just have to say I am so delighted to be here of all Tuesdays to the 1 year anniversary. So I'm so excited for you and excited for what you've already accomplished through this platform and what will happen. As you said, I am Carrie White Hepburn Brown. I am the CEO and principal consultant for Onyx Strategic Consulting, where we are working to create a more equitable world.
Yeah.
We do that primarily through working with businesses and in philanthropy to really come up with solutions, programs, and processes to help move us into more equity around health disparities and around racial justice. So I won't say how long I've been doing it because I've been trying to play my age young, but I am older than I look, and I've been fortunate enough to be doing this work for quite a while. And one of the things about being on Tuesday Together is that it does keep me motivated and energized when the work is really hard. So
All right.
thanks for having me.
Y'all welcome Carrie. All right. There's George. He's coming back. Let's see if he's got his headphones on. I know he has another couple of questions to ask me, so don't hang up on me, Carrie.
No worries.
Okay. All right.
We having a storm in Georgia, came out of nowhere, and it's really all electrical right now. There's no rain, so it literally zapped everything in the house.
So it's probably one of those storms from Florida, right?
More than likely.
All right, George. So I know you had a couple of other questions that you wanted to ask me before. Well, you can say hello to Carrie. Y'all say hello
Hey,
to each
Carrie, how
other.
you doing?
Hi, George.
How are you? I am. I was. Well, yeah. Before I was so rudely interrupted. That's a technical difficulty we can't do nothing about. I was leading toward the aspect of those that the bridge being a heartfelt thing because
Mhm,
it's your teaching. It's
mhm,
it's it's raising people up. It's bringing people up. It's encouraging people. It's enlightening. Some people don't even know they have a ability.
mhm,
They honestly don't know. They don't understand the abilities that they have a lot of times.
mhm.
So, in all that, I wanted to know what what have been a couple of the most heart wrenching, tear jerking maybe,
Mm,
or just those turnaround moments where you were like, whoa, like that even pushed your charge even more, or something like that. Give me some of those.
yeah. Well, I tell you, one of the most difficult conversations for me was the one on COVID.
Mhm.
We were right in the middle of COVID, and people were still dying by the thousands on a daily basis. And matter of fact, we had people, friends, family members that died from COVID, and I had, there was just it was just so much
Mhm.
going on with COVID, and I had one of my bestest friends ever, Lauren. George, you know Lauren. Carrie,
Mhm.
you've heard me talk about Lauren. I had her to come on to talk about her COVID experience, along with Steve, who is uh, my sister-in-law's, or Laverne. She's no longer my sister-in-law, but she's still my sister-in-law. I don't know.
She
However,
she is married to your brother
she was married
first.
to my
Okay.
brother. Okay, her fiance. Wow, I made a whole soap opera right there, didn't I? Okay, her fiance, who had gone through COVID and couldn't walk. Um, and then I had another young lady, Andrea Peaton, who we call Andy. She was on also. And the interesting thing about her experience with COVID is she was also a public health worker. And so I heard, having those three on talking about their COVID experience, it was a night of, it was necessary information that they were bringing to the audience, but it was ripping out my heart. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna I'll play this video so you guys can. I'll just play this clip, and you guys can get a sense of what I'm talking about. Okay.
Like blessings was starting to happen. So I was like, well, maybe this is the best thing. Whether I'm gonna make it or not, I didn't know. I didn't know whether another stroke was gonna come or whether I was gonna be able to walk again. So after being here a few days, and drinking stuff and feeling like I'm getting better, I was still having my ups and downs, but the ongoing problems came not being able to sleep at night.
Yeah.
Still, right now, I have to sleep with a nightlight on,
Yeah.
or the TV has to be on.
Yes. It's been very challenging. I went through, like Steve was saying, about when you go to sleep, fearful.
Mhm.
I remember being so weak that I couldn't stay awake. And then I got to the point where I became so fearful that I was trying not to sleep, even in my sleepiness. And so as time have gone on, I'm asthmatic, so I've had asthma, but I hadn't had really any issues with my asthma until COVID.
Mhm.
And now I am dealing. I have to have treatments, albuterol treatments every 3 to 4 hours. I was just in the emergency room last week, well, 2 weeks ago, because I couldn't hardly breathe.
So, yeah, and we talked over an hour and a half, and they shared so freely of themselves, and they told their stories primarily because they wanted people to pay attention to COVID and protecting yourself, and not thinking it was some sort of hoax or something. And what amazed me, George and Carrie, about that conversation was that were three people in different, different geographic locations. They were younger folks, 40s, young people, that didn't have pre-existing, a lot of pre-existing health issues, and they were really struggling. This was months later. They were really struggling with COVID, and the reason why that video continues to resonate with me, because here we are once again, we're now dealing with the Delta variant of COVID, and we're still dealing with this same issue of, either now it's let's talk about getting people vaccinated or put a mask on. I'm convinced everybody walking around the grocery store without a mask aren't vaccinated. So you know what I do? I wear my mask. Fully vaccinated, but I'll still wear my mask. And so, and now people are still dying, and now we have numbers that are ticking back up, death numbers that are ticking back up. And yet our country is still divided on the issue of doing just the obvious public health thing we can do, which is just put a freaking mask on or get vaccinated, do something. So anyway, that night was that was a raw emotional night, and I heard a lot of the feedback from the audience where people did have to take a break from the video and then go back and watch, because there was a lot of raw emotion and just a lot of empathy and heartfelt a pain from watching and listening to people have to go through such a difficult journey related to the COVID virus.
Rough.
Yeah.
Rough said things, I know. And I mean, still, that fear is, that PTSD, our sister also,
Yep.
Rhonda ended
Yep.
up going through it for 11 days basically,
Yep.
and hospitalized, in there when you
Yes.
can't see a person,
Right.
don't like, so like they said,
Yes.
you can only imagine not knowing if, another day, nobody's actually, I can't even lay my eyes on somebody I
Right.
care about or love, and then who knows if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, because one breath,
Yeah.
like I know Rhonda still, we discussed that, I
Yes.
know y'all have sister, that PTSD is real, so I can only imagine the moment, because I see a few things, and
Yeah.
I see some people giving testimonies of that their subject is really something else.
I just thought it was very important for people to have faces, and also to experience the words of people that had gone through the COVID, had experienced COVID. I thought it was so important for people that were out in the audience and was struggling and trying to figure out what's real, because we were hearing so much stuff at that point. We were still under a different administration. People were telling you to drink bleach and all kind of other shenanigans, and inject yourself with some ultraviolet rays or something, just all kind of crazy stuff. And
fish medicine.
Just stuff. And so, but there were people going through and living with the virus, and so much so that even a year later, I know at least two of those folks are still dealing with the repercussions. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with someone that was on, that's actually listening tonight, and I won't say their name to protect their privacy, but they were last year they had COVID, and they're still dealing with COVID symptoms today. The consequences or whatever. And so, yeah. So Carrie,
I want to jump in so bad, but I so appreciate you reminding us of that moment in time, and I just want to highlight the timeliness of it. I have personally been very resistant to this whole idea. Oh, let's get back to normal, because what is that really? And I think that we are at a place right now where we need to take the precautions even more serious than we did the first time around. So that is my public service announcement. Rebecca and I think some people may know that locally we were able to do a 5-part or even a 6-part webinar series for faith leaders when we were really trying to figure out, how significant we needed, how serious people needed to take it. And we know some churches are still not completely open back up. And obviously it impacts folks differently. And I have to say that despite the fact that I thought I was empathetic and could imagine situations, you really can't imagine the kinds of things that people are having to go through. So my 2 cents is mask up. I mean, how does it hurt anybody to have a mask on? So.
I'm down here in Atlanta, so I got to lighten it a little bit because we down here wondering if we not supposed to fly or nothing because Delta is the hub. And so they call it, it's the Delta variant, and everybody want to know why y'all picked Delta. Is it because all of us is down here leaving out of Atlanta on Delta?
Right. That's a good point, George. I may not be flying Delta for a while.
Hey, but listen,
let me go ahead so Delta don't sue.
Delta ain't giving people.
We don't have a budget. Delta, they are just they're being humorous. They did not mean it at all. Okay, there you go.
But Delta is not getting you sick. But you think about, but I mean, aspect of traveling, flying, getting all those. I just got off of them. And you have, I mean, even the people who are walking around after you get off the plane.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in casino. I'm in the elevators, and you still literally have people, because some people don't know if people are vaccinated or whatever.
Right.
And some people will not get on the elevator with one person on it.
Right.
I'm serious. And you don't know. Listen, I can understand, because you don't know the backstory of experience or psyche that they have. Yeah. So when you look and you like, and they like, hey, I'm good. Cause I done it. I mean, I kept, I'm like, yo, it's 4 people on there. We gonna wait. We'll wait. Yeah, let's not cram up, because and people might just be excited to get to go to Vegas. So they gonna be out there acting like they got 9 shots if they need to, but I'm sure that's also a subject for another show. But I definitely would like to know, and one day probably go into the aspect of that, because I won't show you where I lean, but identifying if you are careful, I feel like that about. I mean, I'll shift the gear all the way. I feel like it's just like for molesters, I believe that they should have something on them at all times, and when they around anybody that's under a certain amount of height, then the things should start going off or something. I don't know. That's how I feel. Yeah. So I think you should have to identify if you are a threat to the basis of general society, who's not being sheep or nothing, but walking around being precautionary and being considerate of the next person. If we could just consider our neighbor, we wouldn't need more than 10 commandments.
Well, that's what the reconciliation is all about.
You can preach, George.
And we're ready to go down a path. We're gonna forget about the celebration.
That's what I'm saying. I gotta walk back to the celebration. Supposed to be celebrating.
This is how Tuesday Together Talk happens. We start talking, and the conversation just evolves. And so what has been troubling me, and what is so upsetting to me, is that there are so many folks that are telling us, women specifically, what to do with our reproductive organs, and they want to rule and control our reproductive organs. Exactly. And yet those are the same folks that will tell you, you can't tell me to wear a mask. Exactly. You can't tell me to be vaccinated, but you can tell a woman what to do with her reproductive organs. I have an issue with that. And that's a conversation. We will have that conversation on Tuesday Together Talk. In the meantime, let's get back to the celebration.
Yes. So it's on me now.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Carrie, because
Yes.
George is going to toast us out when you.
Okay, so it's been fun to walk down memory road a little bit and to remember some of the past things that have happened, some of the past shows. So I have another question for you. What has been one of your most inspiring quotes from one of the conversations, one of the Tuesday Together conversations?
So, what's amazing to me about Tuesday Together Talk, the guest always just brings something that will resonate with me, that will stick, with me, and that, that sustains me for, a few days or however long, or it comes back, at some point where I feel like I need it. But I think what really got me was actually my niece, Jador, who came on and was talking. And, at that point, she was 20 years old. She just turned 21 about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, so she's a grown woman now. But there was so much wisdom in our conversation. And she came on for our Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
It was the month that we were honoring women. And I wanted to get her perspective as a woman in the music industry and what it was like for her. So let me just play this clip. And y'all, I'm sure y'all, those of you that have tuned in will probably remember this particular clip.
I feel like I want to leave a legacy that says she did it. She is a legend, not only through her music, but because she started a lane and opened up a lane for many different people to be inspired, artistically, musically, in fashion or in film or in entertainment in general. Like, I want people to know that I'm a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And I want everyone else to be a powerhouse too, in their own right, in their own ways. And I think that showing people, young and older and any age, any gender, any sex, like anything, I want to be able to show them that they can go after what they want to do.
Yes.
And they can do anything that they put their mind to, and still know that everyone else, you will have people that you love, you'll have people that will not like you.
Yes.
But with the power of your mind and the power of self-love and awareness in yourself, you can do it.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was something about when she said you can
The path.
open up a lane or create a lane. I thought, well, I'd be doggone, because we're always telling folks, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. But sometimes, your lane the people in that same lane don't necessarily want you. You have to be innovative enough to open up your own lane, create your own lane. But I also love the fact that she's already thinking about a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
She's already thinking about how can I help others? And I believe as a woman, it is so important because, people are already saying that we are competing against one another. Women are always competing.
Right.
The fact that she is already thinking, let me do whatever I can to create that legacy, and then reminding us that, hey, you are a powerhouse. And sometimes I think we forget that.
Yeah.
No matter what our age is, we forget that we are a powerhouse, that we are designed that way through the gift of God, that we were designed to be powerful human beings. And sometimes we forget. So I loved what she gave us on that conversation. I think because of her age, that it really impacted me in such a way that I had to go and think about, dang, going to house, my niece is teaching me a few things, but that's what's supposed to happen, right? From generation generation to generation, our generations are supposed to be better than previous generations. And they're supposed to already be thinking about how can they now make the next generation better. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to do. And it was such a blessing to see that she is already finding herself
Yeah.
on that journey and have her feet planted firmly in the idea of what she is to do as a human being, as though, as we talk about on Bridge and Tuesday Together Talk, knowing that we are human together. She understands her responsibility of being a human being living on this planet with other human beings.
She definitely does.
Yeah. I'm gonna double click on that because that was one of my favorites. And I remember when she during that same episode, she talked about how she got to the place where she had that much. At one point, she didn't have that much confidence in herself, and just through the process of, really the self love, continuing to say it until she believed it. So yeah, that's a great one to remember as well. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So George, we're talking about one of your youngins.
What's that feel like?
Our folks used to say
that. To me, I appreciate everyone seeing the lights that they all emit. It's not unfamiliar to me. The lumens aren't unfamiliar to me. You understand? And I'm not saying it to take any credit, but I don't raise player haters off top. That's not who I am. So right. I've always been the type of person, no matter what I've done in my whole entire life, I knew it was room for everybody else. If it's just in the streets, it's enough money. What we don't really gotta be warred. If it's in this music, Prince, your music isn't gonna be like Michael's. Michael, your music isn't gonna be like Prince's. It's room though, because everybody's still buying records. But see, it's the Tupac and Biggie type of stuff. They implant that, and so I grew up in industries, and I'm gonna say this one. The church industry. Most definitely I grew up in that. So can't nobody really, what I mean? I got more years experience than all my siblings because I was forced early. They was pushing me in a stroller to church. They was walking when they had to start going. You see what I'm saying? So I've been paying attention to a lot of stuff for a long time. And so every industry, it's always a lot of room. Like the churches aren't gonna run out of members. But Jackhead and Fake Fred, they gonna compete. You know what I mean? For what reason? Because it's been embedded in us. And so that, first of all, she's I'm very rich on not allowing my children to walk in the backyard. If you dig what I'm saying. Yeah, we got this thing, but really we'll talk off but we call them the backyardigans because I'm practicing for them not saying the words that me and my mom and my brother say a whole lot to describe us. You know what I'm saying? So we call them the backyardigans, but and it's some stuff in that. If y'all go back and look at that show and tell me why all those little characters had black names like Tyrone and I'm gonna stop. But anyway, they not taught to play
for another Tuesday together.
Yeah. No, they haven't been taught. They've been taught to appreciate each other. And you know what? Even with that, like as their group, came up, there was different levels of successes coming out of them being a trio. From early on, and so they never ever. Like I'm gonna be honest, if those that don't know, my son Prince played Michael Jackson on Broadway. His brother was his understudy. So he did a lot of stuff around New York. Prince never really got sick, so Elijah never got on the Broadway stage. But he was everywhere else around the city. But the thing is, the only way that Prince ended up on that stage was not necessarily because Berry Gordy said he was just like Michael when he met him. It was because Elijah said, Dad, Princess said, I'm not recording no video for Berry Gordy. He literally said this. They asked and requested, not an audition, just a video. And Prince was like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to get on stage. I'm going to just be singing. Like, this is a little bitty boy, 10 years old. And so Elijah goes, hey, Dad, record me doing it, and then Prince is gonna do it if I do it. I know they gonna give him the job.
Yeah.
I know they ain't gonna give me this. He literally said this. He was at 9 years old, willing to humiliate himself. So he thought. You know what I'm saying? But there's that thing that he had to recognize the strength in himself because he got that check too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On his own. But he was willing to put himself into a position because he believed so much in his brother. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah.
And so he knew what his brother's capability was. And so that's just how they all are. They always, they in here, Trinity will be, well, Jadora, she'll be playing a new song, and Liza's dancing, doing the dance to it, and Prince is like flipping out, like, and then he comes to the studio, and they come out and hear what he's doing, or Liza learns all these, he's just doing this wild, he's on this dance thing now. I mean, like, and you got to see this, Becky. It's kind of odd.
This is what happens. I asked him about his children. So
this is what happens.
Since we talked about family, I want to circle back to this comment that Rhonda made. That's our sister.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
I think this is her first night tuning in to Tuesday Together Talk, because hats off to her. She was in school and getting that degree and all this other stuff. But she was talking about the COVID video. She said, until you have to lay in that hospital room by yourself and realize these people are giving you what they want you to have. She said, I am dealing with COVID aftermath today.
Yeah.
And so, and then my mother, yes, I'm shouting out my fam this week now. We must have an open mind. We can do all things. God put us here for purpose, and that's absolutely the truth. And so, even as George was talking about his children, what I know is that this is how we are supposed to operate as human beings. We need to understand our interrelatedness. Yes, and until we grasp that concept that we are interrelated, that we are dependent upon one another. Somebody said to me that they believe that this whole idea of being alone or operating, alone and that they can go at it alone. You can't go at it alone, because in order for you to go at it alone, that means you still need human beings so that you know that you are alone. So you can't go at it alone. They talk about separatists and all this kind of stuff. We can't be separatists, because in order to be separatist, there has to be an anti-something.
Yeah. I was using that word today.
So
it's impossible to do anything without I don't care if you are a lone wolf. I can call myself that. But if I create a record, I need people to listen to it or stream it for my success.
Right.
I don't, so people mistake this stuff, and then like you, Becky, they stand on all these weak platforms that they create for themselves, or make believe it's the thought process. And a lot of times it's escapism. The easiest way for me to wallow in my inability to really push myself for my greatness to my excellence, mine. See, my greatness isn't Rebecca's, and hers in turn isn't mine. Right. You see what I'm saying? But if I want to push myself to my greatness, it's easier for me to not do that than it is for me to do it. And then I just make excuses.
Yep.
Yeah. And I start blaming y'all as well. I'll blame anybody.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing. That's when people recognize their human relatedness. We start thinking that it's your fault because of this, that, and the other. And
you're going to need somebody even if it's to blame them.
You can't have it both ways.
Right.
Either we are interrelated or we're not. Carrie, I'm gonna be quiet and let you go ahead, because I know we're getting close to that closing.
No, so I do have one more.
The people.
Okay, I do have one more question.
Before you kick in, Carrie, I need to hear from y'all. I'm seeing the comments, but I need to hear from y'all. And so I want the Tuesday Together Talk audience to tell me why they continue to come back and listen.
Yeah.
So y'all start dropping your comments in the comment section. Why do you continue to listen week after week or however often you can to Tuesday Together Talk? I can't believe Nal is so quiet tonight, too. So, and Terry, if you're listening, Terry, I want to hear from you. Why do you all continue to come back and listen week after week? And drop it in the comments.
Lord have mercy.
Okay.
This rarely comment.
And my mother says, "Look at the mess Trump made it alone." Yeah, well, he had some help. Trump could have never made the mess he made by
Yes.
himself.
He
We can go
definitely
down the
had
list
help.
of
They
people that we
keep
need to
getting
blame for
arrested.
that.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But
We can go down the list blaming the
yeah,
people.
the systems and people that empowered him to make that mess. He needed help to do it because one, he wasn't he's not smart enough to do some of the stuff he did. But anyway,
His help keep getting arrested, so we know he had help.
yeah.
Oh, there's Nile in the chat.
Yeah.
Do you see
Now,
Nile's comment? What keeps him coming back?
yeah.
All
That's
right, we
right,
have
Nile.
to understand it. So we've talked a little bit about what your inspiration was for starting Tuesday Together Talk, some of the interesting situations that you ran into, some of the most heartwarming, and even what was the most inspiring. So I just have one more question.
Okay.
Out of these past 52 weeks, and you were consistent. That's the one thing I do want to talk about. We don't lift up enough. And I know that there had been very few situations where you needed to, for whatever reason, you needed to cancel, and you really ruminated over, what do I do? How do I do it? You have been consistent day in and day out. And I think that's one of the things that we forget when we see people, quote unquote, who have made it. We forget. We don't remember, we don't know the story of how they began, but I believe, and I know for sure that you will be rewarded for your faithfulness. So thank you for that. And in all of those conversations that you've shared, what would you say has been the most intense discussion? I feel like I've been a part of some of.
Yeah, you have been a part of some of those intense conversations. It actually is hard to narrow down, because there was times we got on here, we were hot boy after some of the stuff that was happening in this country. And I'm sure we're gonna get ready to have some more of those conversations because these restrictive voting laws that have been enacted. But I think one of the most passionate, that's how I'll frame it, conversations that I had was the one that I shared with Pastor Isaac Lane. And we were kind of on a different end of the minimum wage spectrum. He felt one way about it, which was that people should be grateful, and I felt another way. Yeah, well, people should not only, it shouldn't be minimum wage, it should be a living wage. And so it was probably the first time on Tuesday Together Talk that people were able to get a sense of the tension. But I enjoyed it so much because, as I said, Tuesday Together Talk is not about just this one-sided idea. You can listen to your cable news if you want to, just hear that one side of the equation. But we went at it for just a little bit. So I'm going to play a clip of that, and y'all can, let me know what you think as you think back to that time.
Comes from, you know what I'm saying, the single parent household with the struggles that you have experienced. And you're telling them in that situation, you're going to give them $15 an hour. I'm telling you, we can do a drive-by through the hoods of Tampa and Clearwater. You are not going to get a lot of people in those impoverished communities that's going to say, no, we don't want it.
I do not agree with the fact that anybody should ever be taken advantage of in a work situation where they are only paid a minimum amount, especially when the companies can pay them more and making a whole bunch more because of the job that they're doing. So you have CEOs and CFOs of some of these companies that are making they got multi-million-dollar packages. They have bonuses and stuff that they get every year. And a lot of times, a lot of them come into those jobs because they have known somebody, not because they have the expertise and experience. And another reason, example A, is sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. He didn't have experience for that job.
I remember that one, boy.
So we had so much fun in that conversation, and we need to finish that conversation. But it was, this whole idea of, that was when everybody was voting for this $15 an hour. And, in this whole idea that people should be thankful, for this $15 as if they are given something. I'm like, people they go to work every day. They show up, they do their job. They're not given anything. There's an exchange going on in that instance. You're working, the person is working, and the person, and so they're getting paid for the work. There's an exchange of services going on here. And otherwise, we go back to another era called, enslavement of people. And we don't want that. And really, when you think about $15 an hour, it's really nothing. I mean, it's something for people to at least, a launching pad. Yeah. But let's be honest. The other day, I went to the grocery store and a half gallon of milk was doggone near $4. So I can get a half gallon of milk for $4, a gallon of gas for $4. You know what I'm saying? and a loaf of, I can't even get a loaf of bread for $2 anymore.
Not if you buy eggs.
So, you know what I'm saying? And so, the cost of living is going up, and yet what people are getting paid is not going up. And so why everybody's out here being mad because folks have decided they don't want to go back to jobs where they were making $7 an hour pre-pandemic. They have discovered their worth during the pandemic.
Right.
They have decided that, no, y'all gonna give me a little bit more than that. So let me put up some of these comments. I'll read some of these. Karen says she listens because the topics and conversations are on point and very informative as well as enlightening. Thank you, Karen. Now said he's listening because there's interesting conversations and subject matter. Jerry says, I listen because most talks are relatable. There aren't many platforms on the local level that are as informative, real, and open conversations. Mom says, I came back because I love you. That's just like a mom. Thank you, Mom.
Keeping it funky.
Right. Rachel says, the reason why I come back on here every Tuesday is because the conversations are very uplifting. It is such a positive vibe every Tuesday. Thank you, Rachel.
That's nice.
Thank you. Now say, we could hear in your voice that you disagree.
Well, I remember that. Woo! It's like when she started doing her open commentary and she just go off and you be like, okay, babe, just come on back. That preacher started going.
We are a very spirited bunch when it comes.
Yes, we are.
Yes. You can say that about the Maynard crew.
To our position standing.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. You will make it known.
So George and Carrie, we'll start with you to give any kind of closing whatever. Oh, Jerry says, okay, y'all, between Jerry and Niall and your hair, okay, this is so they come back to see what I'm gonna do with my hair.
I have no closing words after that.
That's a marketing ploy.
Okay. Listen, Black women in their hair, that's a thing. So we're gonna use it.
That's a marketing ploy to me.
Any time it may be something different. So thank you, Jerry. Okay. So Carrie, any closing remarks or anything you'd like to say to the Tuesday Together audience since you have been here on several occasions? Anything you would like to share?
Thank you for embracing me as part of the Tuesday Together crew. Some of you may have gotten tired of seeing me. That's okay, because I'm still gonna be here. Some of you might be jealous because I come often and I'm still gonna be here. But seriously, I do appreciate it. Rebecca and I have talked about some things coming down the road, and I love the opportunity to share. As she mentioned before, we don't always agree. We don't necessarily disagree. We have our own style and way of doing things. And I think that's what I appreciate. I appreciate the fact that we've been able to open up conversations, real genuine conversations in ways that folks who don't do this work on the regular basis can really access. So thank you all for being incredible listeners, for your love and support, and I hope to keep coming back.
All right. All right. Thank you, Carrie. And George, so before you toast, which your toast will, well, go ahead. I'm going to let you go ahead and say your last comments, and then you can toast. And then I'll say my last little hoorah.
I'll get back to you. Well, first and foremost, like I said earlier, continued success to the platform, the mission, the cause, and the solutions that are to come out of it. Secondly, you know, you might catch me if you want to see what's happening with me. I don't know. Just look up something, George something. I don't know.
You got to give us more than George something. I don't know.
Well, I'm on basically everything is George McFly with 2 Y's, but because I'm always about to take you back to the future. But I'm gonna tell you this. I might not be on Twitter next week, and I might not be on Instagram next week. I might, that's just how I am. But you're gonna see, you always gonna see SMG and somebody doing something. And for all of those people 20 years ago that remember this right here, we about to come back with a new Freedom of Praise project.
Hold up, wait! Y'all heard it first here. Y'all heard it first here. You heard it first. So
it's actually we working it. It's in the works right now.
Well, it needs to be, and you already know. Just as George was on me about getting on social media and expanding my reach, I have been on him about getting Freedom of Praise, which was his choir back in the 90s, 2000. And I've been on him about getting the choir back together. And so I'm excited to hear that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm like,
we got some of the hardest gospel music getting ready to come from the streets. So y'all might not be able to take it, but it's going to be 100% real.
You already know, when y'all first got started, people were like, before there was a Kirk and a Dietrich, George now was doing a whole bunch of stuff that church folks didn't really, they weren't happy about. But but yet folks was coming up in them concerts and stuff.
Yeah, we gonna
every minute of it.
Yeah, we gonna show them who the trailblazers are. But we got, the music's good. It's me. I'm brash. I'm gonna be in your face. So the first song is basically Y'all Want No Smoke with FOP. That's basically what it is.
So there you have it. Y'all look for FOP, as they're called, Freedom of Praise, to come back. Niall will be happy. Look, Niall said that's how we met. That's how you met George. Yep. Niall said in the glasses. So George, you ready to give the toast? And if y'all hang out for just a minute after George give the toast, I'll just give a little close, and then we'll say good night to you.
Oh boy! Put your glasses up.
Okay, y'all. I done halfway drank most of my smoothie already. So y'all got your glasses out there. Let me see.
You got your glasses up. No, listen. Like I said, we want to see an unimaginable amount of people come to the show and take to the cause and let the years just continue to go and let everything continue to blossom and grow as you follow the lead that is given to you, and you walk how you're supposed to walk. Everything's going to be dynamic. So toast to you, toast to the show, toast to the cause. Bridge.
Here.
Thank you. My strawberry smoothie, y'all.
So I kept it I kept
Kept
it
it PG.
I kept it on the church side for the most part of the time. But y'all, this right here is something. This is a real special drink. It's a real special drink. So Jesus turned water into wine. So somebody got to keep the party going.
Yeah. Well, let me say this to you all that have been listening, that have joined in for this 1 year anniversary culminating celebration. Thank you all so much. As I already indicated to the audience and to all the guest conversationalists, thank you. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you being here. All I ask for you to do at this point, if you think that it's important for people to be part of this conversation, that you invite people to come and hang out with us for an hour to, make sure you share the video. If you're interested in Tuesday Together Talk Take Two, our group, then just shoot me a message and I'll make sure that we get you involved in that. But just continue to follow us. I'm believing that great things are in store because great things are already happening. Great things have happened. And I know that I know one thing: if I'm obedient to God, God is faithful. God will do exactly what God said God will do. And all I have to do is be faithful, because God rewards faithfulness and obedience. So, thank you all for joining us. We have a couple of more comments. Mom says, I have my wine. Now said, oh Lord, he was probably talking about George and whatever was in that cup. Aunt Darlene, who comes and hangs out with us also, she says, I'm late, but I'm here. Thank you for joining us, Aunt Darlene. So thank you so much to my co-host for this evening, my brother, my younger brother, George Maynard, who is the chairman of Saggio Music Group, to my partner in all this stuff we do, the equity and inclusion world, Caroline Hepburn Brown, who is the founder and CEO of Onyx Strategic Consulting. And for all of those that have listened this evening and just hung out with us, I thank you so much. I am going to ask my co-host to hang out just for a few minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast and let the people just enjoy. I want you all to stay tuned, because we do give a special shout out to all of our guest conversationalists as we close out this video. Remember, you can always find us at www.reconciliationandequity.com, or you can follow us on Facebook at Reconciliation and Equity. You can also find us on YouTube at Reconciliation and Equity, and on Instagram. My goodness, George, look what you've started. Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Okay. So you can find us in all those places. I am, once again, Reverend Rebecca Burrow, founder and CEO of Building Reconciliation, Inclusion, Diversity, and Gender Equity, where we are on a mission to create a more just, equitable, and inclusive world. God bless you, everybody. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. God bless you. And I guess with that being said, this is what y'all pray that we get a technology person before this is all said and done. Okay, how about that? Because I'm sitting here, y'all see me looking away from the screen. I'm doing double duty over here. So God bless you all, and here we go with our outtake. Good night.